All right, so tonight our first speaker is going to be Janessa from South Jersey. Her topic is relationships, victim or volunteer. Can we please welcome Janessa?
Hi, I'm Janessa and I'm an addict.
Hi, Janessa.
Bear with me, I'm nervous. It's my first time speaking in a convention setting, but I'm gonna try to keep it to the point. I'm 21 and I have 1 year clean because I always feel like I need to qualify myself. I'm gonna interpret this topic in my way because it's the only way I know how. And whether you get something from my message or not, if you don't understand it, that's me. If you do understand it and you get something from it, it's God. All my life, I've had relationships with people and they failed. I became a victim to my circumstances. I grew up in a home where I had 2 addicts for parents. It was very pretty on the outside, but very chaotic on the inside. And I kind of felt like it's all I deserved. I felt like there was something wrong with me and I would never have anything good in my life. Like I didn't deserve anything that would come my way, so I kept falling into the same patterns. I looked for things that were chaotic and familiar in some sort of way. I ended up in a domestic violence relationship when I was 17, and that was really the first time I gave someone my heart in a sense other than my parents, and he was very, very chaotic and it was comfortable. And I knew from the moment like we started dating that this wasn't a healthy relationship, but it was all I knew. That all I knew was unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy coping mechanisms, which is why I used. And it just felt safe in a sense. Even though I felt like I was dying internally, I still felt safe in some type of way because it's how I grew up. And he was a big part of my using. Like, I don't like putting blame on people, but he was like one of the reasons why I coped, because it's the only way I knew how to express myself was with using. And I had mental health issues that I wasn't treating at the time, and using kept those feelings at bay. And I started using when I was 12. I also had another weird relationship at that time where I was 12 dating a 17-year-old. And I think that's necessarily where like this stuff started. And I didn't love myself, so I found like love in other people. And I feel like I'm all over the place. But I felt so hurt and angry, and I felt disgusted with myself that I felt like I couldn't do better. And I stayed stuck for a very long time. I started coming to NA when I had gotten hit by a car, and I had nothing to do, and my mother was in the program, and she led me to where I could get help. And that's where I started unlearning these behaviors that I was so stuck in. You know, I finally started realizing the toxicity. I started realizing you do deserve better. You do deserve happiness. And one of the things like I started realizing is that this relationship started failing a lot quicker. I think we were on our 3rd go around, and people started, like, I started asking for help. instead of just keeping it to myself and not telling anyone anything that was going on. I started reaching out to people, and they started giving me their experience, strength, and hope. And with reaching out to everyone, I was finally able to break off a cycle that I was so stuck in. Because instead of me using a drug, I was using him now. I was using that obsession. He became my constant when I didn't have anything else. And unlearning everything that I taught myself and everything my outside circumstances taught me helped me get out of being a victim. Now I've come to a point in my recovery where I'm actually able to start making boundaries, and I start realizing, okay, this person doesn't have my best interests at heart. And sometimes it's still hard for me to break off from these people because it's I still think I deserve it because I'm not a perfect person. And it's not a perfect situation. And I haven't evolved that much. And I'm so grateful for this program because I was finally able to let go. And even when I can't physically let go of someone, God puts right in my way for that person to just disappear out of my life. And it's crazy because I used to not be this person who would call on to God. I was taught to be more spiritual because I couldn't do the religion aspect. And I started praying because even when I can't do something for myself, I know that God can eventually help me. He's going to help me, and He knows what I need. So, and He just keeps putting people in my life that 100% back me up, but still call me out on things that I need to work on. And I'm just very grateful, and I wouldn't change this for anything, because even though I've had crappy circumstances and I've had the messed up home life, the messed up friendships, the messed up relationships, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be the person that I am today, and I'm grateful for who I am. I'm proud of who I am, and I just keep learning. And because I will never know everything. And when I first started coming in, I used to always say, I know this and I know that, and you don't need to tell me anything because I already know what I need to do. But I had to unlearn the I knows because I was just killing myself at the end of the day, because when I go off my own knowledge, I just end up using. I end up going back out, and I end up going out to parties and out with my friends who aren't good for me and who just enable my behaviors, and I end up right back in the toxic situationships. I end up right back to not being in school. I end up not having a job because I don't know how to keep a job when I'm not stable. And I thank God every day for this. And I thank God for the people who have stood behind me through all of it, because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't know where to go. Because I've watched my uncle in the program, and I watched my mom in the program, and they just showed me exactly where I needed to be, even if I didn't believe I needed to be here, because you end up in such this emotional state where you're just like, I'm not an addict. What are you talking about? I don't understand that. That can't be me. And that's just, it was eye-opening when I had more than one person tell me. And I had everyone showing me there is a better way for it. Even if coming to meetings didn't start out as me wanting to get clean. It started as me just wanting to get out of the house because I was stuck. But it turned into something so beautiful. Because I'm doing so many things with my life. I'm able to get out of relationships I don't want to be in. I'm able to get the help I need because psychiatry didn't work for me. Drugs sure as hell didn't work for me. And I keep saying I'm grateful, but it's the only word I know. And I'm just proud. And I never want to be back in the position I was, because the person who I am now is strong, and I'm just looking for the bright side. You know, I'm always the person who's looking at everything bad going around, bad going on, and I still do it, because like I said, I'm not perfect, but I'm looking at being the better person, because I don't want to be stuck anymore. I refuse to be stuck, and I refuse to keep hurting. And with that, that's all I got. Thanks for listening.